Hi everyone, my name's PK and here I have Nitin Srivastava, who is a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. He's just bought two properties, one in Perth, one in Cairns. And in this episode, we'll go through how he's managed to do this because he's actually a very time-poor professional. So the type of people who normally go for buyer's agents. So why didn't he use a buyer's agents and how did he actually be successful DIYing it by himself? We'll go through how he's managed to get off-market properties, how he's implemented advanced negotiation techniques despite not having a ton of experience in the matter, and also how he's used property managers to really accelerate his property investing. His aim, and I'll ask him in a second as well, his aim is really to use property investing to build wealth and so that he can upgrade his principal place of residence, or in other words, buy more of a dream home in Sydney where he currently lives. He wants to upgrade and he wants to use investing, property investing, to really be the vehicle to achieve that, and probably many other goals as well. But Nitin, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, PK. I think the pleasure is mine over here. And thanks to the entire community that you have built over a period of time for creating such an enormous source of wealth for anyone who's looking into property investing. So good to be here. Thanks, PK.
Welcome to the Oz Property Investment Mastery Podcast. My name's PK and I help busy people build passive income by buying top 5% growth and cash flow property and build a portfolio using data without wasting months doing research, spending weekends at inspection or catching flights, or dropping $10,000 to $20,000 on buyer's agents every single time. So if you're confused, lack confidence, and just overwhelmed with all the information and marketing misinformation available online and don't know where to start, then this show is for you. Hey, let's start at the start like we always do. So if you, to the extent that you're comfortable sharing, like what do you do for a living? What was your property experience before doing the course, and why did you do the course?
Yep. So I'm a sales strategy professional. I'm working in the FMCG domain. Have close to 7 years of experience in this industry, and migrated to Australia in 2017, and then took a while to establish myself in this in my career, and then started the journey for investing. So I was looking at a lot of options, be it stock market, crypto, property. Have been through everything, analyzed everything, and then kind of made up mind after talking to a lot of people that I think property investing is the way to go in terms of wealth creation. So kind of started the journey in terms of looking what all options are available. But before that, I was renting out for a while, and I wasn't comfortable in kind of shelling out 2,000 to 2,500 bucks per month in terms of rent. So first look for a property for myself, I think. And again, the traditional thing of looking something in the backyard, made an emotional decision and paid a fortune for securing a property. And I consider that as my worst investment decision so far till date in terms of property. And then once I've got my principal place of residence, I started looking out for investment properties. So met a lot of buyers agents, met 8 to 10 buyers agents, get interviewed, try to understand their way of thinking, try to understand their way of working. But then I'm a DIY kind of person, so I wasn't comfortable in somebody making decisions for me. And property investment is one of the biggest decisions of your life.
Mhm.
So I kind of want to understand what's going on behind why a particular area, why a particular suburb. And eight out of 8 out of 10 buyers agent I was talking were kind of pointing in one single region, one single project, try to convince in terms of why new properties are better than the old properties. So the discussion kind of carried on for 5 to 6 months, where I got to a point where I was kind of like, something is making sense, something I need to understand more. So what need to be done? And eventually there was one buyer agent who kind of told me that never go for new properties, go for the old properties. And I actually thank him because that kind of inspired me to kind of looking more into what are the nitty gritties of property investing? Why has he said that go for old properties? And I started looking into the net, try to educate myself, and I came across your videos. And once I hopped onto your channel, I was like, it was a journey for me in terms of understanding from basics to looking at your client videos, looking at the free education that you are kind of imparting to everyone. And then I made my decision that I'm going to do it by myself, because your client videos were kind of inspiration for me. I've kind of decided that although I'm very time poor, I'm going to take this challenge and challenge myself that I'm going to educate myself first and then execute it and put this knowledge into action, and got the kind of same results that your clients have got, and build a wealth creation portfolio for myself. So that was my journey in terms of starting from nothing. Like, if somebody has asked me what is an equity 4 years back, I was like, what I say, to a place where I'm now comfortable in not only chatting with the agents, negotiating with them, having some great deals, and then now I'm a journey to build my portfolio now. Yeah. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. It's really great to see that you, although you didn't have confidence in your property investing ability, I mean, that's why you sought out education, you had confidence in yourself to learn and implement. And I think that's a really important trait that hopefully everyone can imbibe in whatever aspect of their life. You may not be an expert at a particular field, but believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself to have the ability to learn. You know, it's more important to know how to learn than it is to actually learn. It's that confidence, it's that conviction. And I think that's really good and interesting to hear. I also want to touch on the subject of you're very busy. You know, you're a family man and you've obviously got a full-time job, etc. How did you, you know, you're very, very, very time poor. How did you, or how many hours did you put aside, let's say for the first property in Perth? It's a very hot market in Perth. You bought that last year. How many hours did you put aside, let's say, you know, per week to actually be able to buy that property? How did you go about doing that?
So I would break that into two parts. That once I was in course, how much time have I took in terms of completing the course, and then buying process was a altogether different process.
Hmm.
So once I subscribed to the course, I think I've set aside 2 hours for myself every week to go through the course. But your course is so intense and so like captivating that once I hopped onto module number one, I was like, I want to learn more. I want to learn more. And eventually I was waking up every morning at 4 a.m., going through those modules. I was not putting in anything into action by then, but I want to know what's going on. And I've completed all your 6 modules in a span of 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once I've completed all the modules, it's all about planning and strategizing yourself, because each module comes with a tool that need to be first completed and analyze your situation and then draft your strategy. So I
Hmm.
took another 2 weeks in terms of getting to the right kind of finances, the right kind of contacts, and strategizing myself that what's my strategy looking like. And then started the hunt for the property. So when I started the hunt, so all this took me close to uh, working with the financiers, strategizing myself. It took close to 2 months for me, because eventually there was a life stage change as well in between. And after that, when I finalized the suburbs, I think initially I was looking into Perth in the South Perth region, and the market was really, really, really hot. But those are the suburbs that are ticking all the boxes. But then in weekly mentoring calls, I've seen that some people were talking about northern parts of the suburbs where the socio-economic and the gentry is more affluent. Yeah, it's on slightly on the higher side, but there are kind of suburbs that are coming up, and that made me to move and pivot to the northern part of the suburbs. I quickly made some calls to the agents and kind of realized that yep, the prices will be booming in next 2 to 3 months,
Hmm.
and found one or two found a listing, lost down on it. Second listing, I've called the real estate agent. The listing was just up. Try to establish the relationship with the agent, ask the right questions that were outlined in the course, And sometimes it's all about that click that you have with the agent. Yeah, in my call with the agent, we kind of clicked. We were talking about the market, we were talking about the factors that will lead to the growth and how it's becoming more and more hotter in the northern parts of the suburbs. He showed me the entire property then and there. Yeah, it wasn't a scheduled inspection, but eventually it happened that he was on the property, and what eventually it came out that the property was recently renovated. So
Right.
there's an opportunity of the depreciation. The property was 893 meters square. So with a little bit of leeway, there is a potential for subdivision. Yeah, and the rent is pretty much on the higher side as well.
Right.
So once all that is done, I think the negotiation phase started where he is getting a lot of offers, specifically from the from the buyer's agent as well. But that's where the module number 5 comes into play, the advanced negotiation techniques. So kind of try to ask the right question in terms of getting a feel of where the offer is. And the deadline was 4 p.m. I put my single, the only offer at 345 with everything in mind, and I actually got the property for by beating the closest bid by $500.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, so CMA tool, negotiation techniques, working in the right kind of suburbs, looking at the right parameters in the property, right kind of streets. When all that, the power of data analysis come into picture, I think this happens. So I was able to secure this property in a span of 2 weeks in Perth. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then closed that off. Got the rent appraisal was close to 640. What I've got is 680 at the moment.
Okay.
So the yield is close to 6.2%, which I consider to be fairly on the good side,
Right.
fairly on the better side. So yeah, that was the story of securing first property and going through the course, making time for myself and challenging myself. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I'm not sure if your family was happy with it, but I'm super excited that you got up at 4 a.m. and did the modules. Yeah, when I recorded the course and I didn't really, it's not meant to be entertainment. It's meant to just be like a system that works, but I'm glad
Yeah.
that it was captivating at the same time.
Because I always say when the why is clear, how doesn't matter. Yeah.
Mm,
Once I subscribed to the course, my why was clear that this is the way I'm going to take in terms of achieving my goals.
sure.
Yes. So usually I'm not a morning person, but the content was so captivating that I was waking up at 4 a.m. because I want to know, okay, what after suburb? What after the macro factors, micro factors, all those kind of things. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, if you're like you've been interviewing all these buyers agents, doing a lot of research, so like I guess like when you find something where it's like clearly laid out, everything is there, and it seems way more in depth than anything you've seen before, it's like this is what I've been looking for. And I'm glad that it only took you 2 weeks, from the point that you started searching to be successful in Perth. Of course, it took you a while to get your finances in order, and you had a lifestyle change, a life stage change, etc. And that happens. I think you mentioned your why. Could you just expand upon that? Like, what is your why?
So my why, so essentially earlier for me, when I started the when I've decided that property investing is the way to go to build a wealth, uh, I was kind of relying on like buyer's agent essentially that they are going to do the task for me. I'm going to just sit and relax and kind of go through the entire process. Uh, but when I hopped onto your course, my why was it's going to be me, my decision, yeah, and uh, how much in depth am I going to understand this entire process so that I can execute it. And I'm also looking at the data. It was also clear that the market is getting hotter and hotter, and my aim was to secure a great property which ticks all the boxes in Perth as soon as possible. So that was my why. Yeah.
Hmm.
And keeping that in mind, I've started all this all everything, like waking up in the morning, going through the courses, implementing it right then and there. And
Yeah.
also parallelly, the community that you've created, the forum that we have, it has helped me immensely, because I really want to thank from the bottom of my heart to each and every member of that community, because they are a great support. Like anywhere where I have faced a bottleneck or something like that, I have reached out to community and I've got 5 to 6 replies with the right context in terms of moving forward. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
It is an
That was
amazing
my
community. Yeah. And I think when you're part of such, I mean, they're all committed because they paid, each of them have paid me $6,000. So like, they put their money where their mouth is. Like when you have that kind of committed support, then you have people to lean or fall back on, even if you have a bad day or even if something's not working out. People have been there and done that. And I think there's something to be said about peer-to-peer learning. Of course, I can tell you the answers and I do, but it's like I want to talk to someone who's in the fire of ordeal right now, who's actually putting in offers, who's been successful in recent months. And I think that really improves confidence. I want to ask you one thing, Nitin. In terms of negotiation, sometimes people think that negotiation is something that is learned over many, many, many years. And of course, that's true. But so or could you run us through how you were able to secure this Perth property when you're up against all these other buyers agents who presumably are negotiation experts in property?
right. So again, again coming back to the advanced negotiation techniques that are outlined in the course, that when we have an initial call with the agent, obviously there is a set of questions that we ask which are broader, aligned to the property. Yeah. And once you have those questions, let's say, are there any easements on the property, what's the intention of the seller? Okay. And that is also an opportunity to convey how much you are interested in that property and kind of give you a healthy 1 to 2 minute in terms of establishing a relationship with the agent. Yeah. So instead of asking some direct questions with the property, I just told that I'm a guy who has just started to look into the Perth property.
Yeah.
Okay. And rather than discussing about the property, I tend to take his view on the suburb. Although I have the data with me, but I was kind of asking him and making him speak more, because the more he's speaking, the more golden nuggets I'm getting
Hmm.
in terms of the property, in terms of the suburb. And then eventually started talking about the owner, that he bought the property in the market 4 months back, but he was a kind of a hoarder. So he has to take the property again back and kind of renovate it. And what has he renovated? Yeah. Parallelly, he has also started to talk about, okay, the subdivision potential of the property. The property next to it has already got subdivision approval. Yeah. So once that connection is established and he has started to speak more, I kind of explained that how much I'm interested in property and I want to close the deal before it goes to market again. And he was like, the deal will be on this evening, so I can't stop that. But yeah,
Hmm.
feel free to go forward with it. And then the very next day when the inspection was there, I called him and he was like, I've already got few offers from the buyer's agent. And then I started to ask questions that, okay, what does the seller want? What are the terms? Are there any terms that I can put that are conducive to him? What's the bandwidth? Is there any figure in mind that I can vouch for? So I've got answers to those questions. And then eventually, after 4 to 5 questions, there is a bandwidth that eventually came towards which seller was after. So then I politely asked him that, okay, when are you going to meet the seller for the final price and decision? He told me that it's going to be Monday 4 p.m.
Right.
So I told him that, okay, I will put my offer on Monday morning potentially. Yeah. And Monday morning is when the property manager is also viewing the property. My property manager wasn't free on the weekday. So so I asked him that once my property manager was there, I'll put in an offer over there. And then here comes the power of property manager as well. As you've always pointed out, that property managers are the ones who will do 90% of the work for you.
Hmm.
So the benefit that I've got was my property manager went to the property, so he was alone with the agent. So that's where he has also got some golden nuggets in terms of where the offers are lying at the moment, which has helped me in kind of narrowing the bandwidth a bit. And then it was all around 3 p.m. when I gave the call. I haven't put any offer till then. And I gave the agent a call. I was like, okay, so I've got a bandwidth in mind, but I guess uh, that's that's based on the market indexing rather than what the seller want. And the agent was like, okay, put your best offer, because the buyer agent have already put amou- amounts over XXX. So finally, with all this discussion in mind and what he just said right now, I've got the right area to play around with, and I put my offer, let's say, at XXX. plus $500, because that's
Sure.
always the person never put a rounded offer.
That's right.
Yeah, I got a call after 15 minutes. He will say, "Mate, you've got the property. I don't know how you have done it, but you have beat the nearest buyer agents by $500." I was like, yeah, thanks to the advanced negotiation skills, BK. Because if I've put a rounded offer, I think there were competing offers in the market for that, and haven't been able to secure that property.
Yeah. It's such a small technique, right? But yeah, just put like a something something 250, something 500, something 750. Some clients even just like make fun of it and put like, I'm just making this up, like $460,000, 420 and 30 cents. Like, it's just like it's ridiculous. But the principle is don't give a 480,000. Give it a little bit higher or lower, a little bit higher ideally to just beat someone else. It's really good. And on the point of property managers, that person really helped you. Did you pay for the inspection or was it completely free? How did you go about sorting out or arranging that property manager inspection? Because you're in Sydney, the properties in Perth. Normally people pay $15,000 for a buyer's agent who also most times just use a property manager. So how was that experience like bypassing the middleman, the buyer's agent, and dealing with the PM yourself?
Yeah. So in terms of the property management, the entire process, I've interviewed 4 to 5 property managers, and eventually, when you interview property managers, the way they speak, the way they explain the market, their experience comes into play during that
Mm.
conversation. That's where you kind of made up your mind that, okay, this is the person to go forward with. Yeah, and I was working with this particular property manager for 4 to 5 properties. Although I'm not bidding on these properties, I was just taking a gauge
Yeah.
that what's her view, and she was spot on. She was a gun. Yeah, and when I brought forward this property to her, she was like, "This property was in market 6 months back. I can tell you. I'm not sure about the time frame, but this is a bloody good property if it's renovated."
Right.
So I asked her that, okay, if you can actually have a view, but she was very busy at that point of time, as every property manager is. But she accommodated my request to view that on Monday morning because I was putting an offer.
Right.
Yeah, so uh, I think that that was pretty much. I haven't paid a single penny to the property manager. Yeah, although she's the one who's managing my property at the moment. But yeah, this was the whole process in terms of interviewing them, trying to gauge their level of experience, and then yeah, are they accommodating enough to to accommodate your request to kind of view that on a Monday morning, which is a pretty odd time as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the entire process I followed.
Thanks for sharing. Textbook. I think that's textbook when I discovered that you could use property managers to buy interstate or remotely. I think back in 2011. Yeah, it was a game changer. So it's so good to see, like just a textbook example of just that. And now if we kind of maybe fast forward to your Cairns property that you've more recently bought. You've bought that for 494,000. It's renting at 650. It was off market. I won't take up too much more of your time, but maybe if you could, like, how did you get it off market?
So again, I was kind of looking in northern Queensland for a while, but kind of getting balled out in some of the hot markets,
Yeah.
very hot markets, I would say. So instead of focusing in that particular area that starts with T, I've kind of diversified and look for other areas that start with C,
Yeah, sure.
and then I started calling some of the agents, and the market is pretty hot over there as well. And one thing that came out was the vacancy rate is so less over there that any property that is coming into market is getting rented well above the rental appraisal. So that was an opportunity for me. So rang few agents. There was one agent who told me that there is a property which was fitting my. So whenever I rang an agent, I give them the parameters that I'm looking after, that land to asset ratio, what should be the profile of the suburb. So one of the agent told me that there's a property that he's actually putting on the market on Monday morning, and he's just waiting for the photos to come by on Sunday. I politely asked, "What's the property address?" I looked at the property. It's an absolute mess when I looked on the old photos. But then I started the conversation that I would be interested in the property and if he can share more details. So he shared everything. He has already got a building and pest report for it. Uh, I kind of did a quick CMA indexing, and then the property was seems to be in my budget. So the agent shared the photos with me on Sunday morning, and I put forward an offer straight ahead, keeping the clause that uh, this offer is valid till the time the property is not going on the market.
Right.
And then the negotiation kind of started over there. The valuation that he was expecting was a little bit above the CMA, but finally we negotiated and we came at a point. Um, I think I put my second offer on Sunday night at around 8 p.m. Got the reward back on Monday morning 9:30, and the property was going live at 11. I finally had a chat, put down my final offer of 494. It's just at 10:30, and it got accepted. But meanwhile, I've done all the due diligence in terms of working with my property manager in that market, and my property manager's view was this property is going above 510 if it comes to market because it
Right.
was renovated. Everything is top notch. Yeah, the property is a concrete block, so there's hardly any maintenance required in the property. Yeah,
Right.
it is a 725-meter square block, so there is a potential for a granny flat over there. Yeah, and it's in a very posh suburb of Keynes. Yeah, so he was like, just because of the socio-economic factors, you're going to get a good rental. It's very close to a school. That's what most of the families look after. It's a 3 by 1, which is in great appeal for early nesters. Yeah, with
Right.
just one kid. So
Right.
that's how it ended. But I would say my property manager played a great role because my second offer is where I would have ended. Yeah, but when I had a chat again with my property manager on Monday morning, he came back and said that based on the rental appraisal, he can actually fetch 580 for their property, which was kind of making me around 5.9% yield,
Hmm.
slightly on the lower hand. Yeah. But eventually, based on that yield and the depreciation taking into consideration, I put an offer which was 494, and then it was accepted over there. Yeah, so that was the
Right.
story of my second property. But the best thing was I put the clauses in there so that I can have renters in for inspection before the settlement.
Hmm.
And the rent that I've got was 600.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, 600. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's
No, sorry, not 600, 650.
650.
650.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
650.
Sorry,
Um,
yeah, it's for 650. So, yeah.
no, I mean just the way you're sharing that experience, I can hear just how much understanding and knowledge you have of not just the suburb, but like the property itself. You're talking about, the type of demographic that demands it, the 3 by 1, why a 3 by 1 is okay, not being a 4 by 2, etc. So it really shows that you approach this in a very measured way. And just like the Perth one, which can be subdivided, this one can have a granny flat on. So it's great because you can add value, and both properties, they're not just set and forget, although they're low maintenance, but you can add value for further equity uplift in the future. And you got it off market. I mean, that's once again, anyone can get properties off market. And I hope that anyone who's watching or listening has confidence that, yeah, you don't need to get a buyer's agent. In fact, you don't even need to do my course to get off market deals. Like anyone can do off market. Of course, maybe I'll be biased and say it makes it easier if you actually learn the everything that I teach to get off market deals. But truly, it's not the monopoly of quote unquote experts, and you've demonstrated that really well. And perhaps looking ahead now, Nitin, what are your, I mean, we were talking about this before we hit record, but what's your plan going forward? Are you planning to buy more properties, and what's kind of like your 5 to 10 year plan in the realm of property?
Yep. So I guess the next aim is to get at least two more properties this year. So I've already started my hunt for the third property. So kind of in that mode where I'm kind of narrowing down to the right suburbs at the moment, because my strategy is right now diversification. So I've got one in Perth, I've got one in Queensland. So kind of looking at the right pockets in terms of diversification, and also the things that I have in mind, that I'm a DIY kind of person and active investor. So a good land size, maybe a potential to subdivide or a granny flat. So that's my next thing on which I'm after. But parallelly, it's like when you share these great results with your family and friends, they also want to know what's the mantra for getting these kind of property, what's the way, and how can an individual execute it without the help of any buyer's agent, yeah, or any sales or any property professional. So I'm kind of right now helping them in terms of getting the right kind of properties, because some of the properties that they've got through buyer's agent are not performing that great at the moment.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, it's like the sole aim of a community. Yeah, you build wealth for yourself, and then you help the community members in getting the great deals. That's what I'm doing at the moment, helping my friends and families for securing those great deals based on what I've learned from your amazing course.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough. That's what I did as well. I think in 2016 or 17, I just started helping family for free. It was just like
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
doing it for them. I was just teaching them how to do it. And then they started getting results. I was like, hang on, there's something in this. I better double down on this. No, it's a great achievement by you, Nitin. And perhaps the last question, coming back to what you were sharing earlier, there'll probably be thousands of people that will watch this and listen to this that may be in your situation where they're like, okay, I'm a busy professional. I have like my main 9 to 5, which is more like a maybe a 9 to 9 or whatever. I have a busy professional. I have a family. Um, I just don't have confidence that I can actually do this myself. So I'm not asking you to recommend the course, but I want to see if you can give any advice for people who just they don't have confidence in themselves. And because they don't have confidence in themselves, they don't have the confidence to actually learn property investment and therefore implement it. It's like a mindset shift that they need for someone who's kind of doubting themselves that they can even invest successfully in real estate. What advice would you give them?
I would just say that uh, this is the same situation I was in. Yeah, time poor, don't have the confidence, but trust yourself. Trust yourself. Make up your mind. I would say it's not an easy easy thing to take out time for yourself, but just think 5 to 10 years down the line. Yeah, investment, property investment is the one of the best decision or the biggest decision of your life you're going to make. Yeah, how do you want to execute it? You want to give the power to somebody else to make the decision for yourself. So again, coming to the point, if your why is clear, how doesn't matter. Yeah, and for that you need a strong mindset and believe on yourself that you can execute it. And for helping you, there's an entire community. Yeah, and I think that's the best thing about this course, that there's a community who's ready to help with anything, anywhere you are going to get you're going to need help. So trust yourself, build a mindset. Most of the times it's a mindset issue, not the skill set issue. So build the right mindset and just get into it, because if you have to execute it, you have to execute it. As simple as that.
I love that. Yeah, most of the time it's not a skill set issue, it's a mindset issue. I'm gonna steal that one if you don't mind. That's a good quote.
Yeah.
No, congratulations, Nathan. I'm very happy for you. 2 properties, you're busy, you got them, very quickly off market using property managers from across the nation, high yields. Yeah, the Cairns one is very recent, but the Perth one I would say has already gone up 50, 60, 70, $80,000 or something like that. So it's just top shelf stuff. So I hopefully this inspire just like I don't know how many you watched of my client interviews. Hopefully, well, they did inspire you. Hopefully, your interview is inspiring many others. So thank you so much.
Thanks, PK, for giving this opportunity to share my experience. And yeah, if it can inspire some more individuals, I think that's the biggest win I can have.
It's really
Thank
cool of you. Thank you for making time. And guys, like I always say, there's I think at the time when Nitin joined the course, there would have been like maybe, I don't know, close to 100 of these client interviews on my client results playlist on YouTube. These days, there's approaching 150. I honestly don't care if you do the course or not, but please, just like Nitin, go through those client interviews, because they're not just sales for my course. They're actually full of education, just like today's session. They're full of inspiration. And even if you choose to do it yourself without me, like, they will help steer you in the right path and actually help get you really, really good results. So please invest in yourself. And with or without my course, you can hopefully get amazing results. And Nitin's someone who did sort of bottle up the courage to work with me, and I'm very happy for you, Nitin. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, PK, and thanks to every member of the community for this achievement. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Yeah.